Good morning and welcome to Cup of Faith for today, Wednesday, June the 30th. Tomorrow is Canada Day. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about that right now, but the truth of the matter is that in spite of all of our warts and scars and bruises as a nation, we still live in one of the best countries there is to live on the planet. I'm glad to be born and raised as a Canadian. Welcome to our home. And I was going to originally do Cup of Faith on the deck, but we have one of our neighbors is a little noisy, so I thought, just for the sake of being a little less distracted, because I'm easily distracted, I thought I'd just bring it back into the house. For a few moments, I'd like to talk to you about hope for times of uncertainty. And we have been following a series for the past few weeks on our complex needs and what an American psychologist, Abraham Maslow, has identified as a hierarchy of needs. And the truth of the matter is that I've looked into this. It more and more dawns on me on how complex of a people we are. And if you look at yourself or the people around you, you know that we're complex people. And as I mentioned last week, but there's good news with this. And that good news is that the same God who will take care of me will supply all of your needs according to his riches, which have been given to us in Christ Jesus. We look at that verse and we might think it's about clothing, it's about food, it's about shelter. Well, that is one of the needs, the most basic need we have. But our needs go far beyond that, and Christ is more than equal to meet every need we have, whether it is physical, emotional, spiritual, relational, no matter what it is. And we have been following the 23rd Psalm, and in the first verse, like I said, the Lord is my shepherd and I have everything I need. These are our basic physiological needs for food, water, warmth, and rest, and he just abundantly gives us everything that we need. And our next need is the need for safety, and he lets me rest in green meadows, and he leads me beside peaceful streams. He takes us to that place where we're safe and we know we are safe. And then the third verse, third and fourth is, he renews my strength and he guides me along the right paths, bringing honor to his name. And even if I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me, and your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. This is our... And I say this is our need for love because when we go through these dark times, these uncertain times, the things that we often don't know what is real and what is not real, but we know we are afraid, the one who loves us stands beside us and he protects us and he guides us. And then we have another deep need that we often don't think about, or we want to think it's a bad need to have, or we pretend we don't have it. And that's the need for approval, for validation from other people. It's called a self-esteem need. And there are healthy sources that will give us a healthy self-esteem, and I'm going to unpack what that means in a second. But there's also unhealthy sources that give us an unhealthy self-esteem, where we are constantly looking for approval and validation, especially from strangers. So what does a healthy self-esteem look like? Well, I think it's a person who has confidence, and it's a person who has strength. And how do we gain this healthy self-esteem? While it's an internal quality, we are affected by external factors. One said, well, that's how I feel about myself inside, but it is really built up by what is going on around outside of us, or who is influencing us. So the validation and approval of our peers and family, now that's theoretically a healthy source of a healthy self-esteem. But ultimately, it's the opinions of those that we don't know should not matter to us. That's unhealthy. This is where we go in Facebook and we'll put something up, and our self-esteem or our validation comes from how many people liked or responded to our post. Or if we have a Twitter account and we say something, how many people have retweeted that? People we don't know. And yet the more we see, the more validated we feel. Now, all I'm saying is that's really an unhealthy source of and an unhealthy esteem, because we have to keep going back more and more to get that approval. But the approval who matters to us most affects how we see ourselves. And a few months ago, I was counseling actually it was years, a couple, and they were struggling with depression and they were struggling with self-esteem. And as we got to the heart of the matter, I said, really, it's the opinions of those who matter the most to you is what we build our lives on. And you can try to get validation from people that maybe you see them highly, but they're never going to validate you. They're always going to criticize you. They're always going to tear you down. But there's a better source of someone whose opinion should matter to us the most. I'm hoping this is making sense and I'm not too much dragging us all through the weeds. But here's what I'm saying. In the 23rd Psalm, verse 5, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you anoint my head with oil, and my cup runs over. Now, why is this shape how we see ourselves? Why is this verse so important to our confidence and our strength? Well, let me expand the verse a little bit more for you. You, the Lord, our shepherd, he's going to put in order and arrange a meal spread out on a table in front of my face. He's going to put effort into it. It's going to be of quality. Let me tell you, God doesn't give us second best. God gives us the best. He doesn't give us leftovers of his time and energy and resources. He gives us the best. And so he prepares this table for us with his very best effort right in front of us. And he does so boldly in front of all of our enemies, whether our enemies are internal or external. The people that have torn us down, the people that have criticized us. He does this for us, to us, in front of those people. They keep on pressing in on us, and we feel like we're cramped. We can't move. We feel suffocated. Those times of insecurity. Where do we go for help? Where do we go for relief? It's not the strangers on Facebook and Twitter. It is the Lord. It is the Good Shepherd. And you will anoint my head with perfumed oil. And all of my holdings and my possessions will abundantly overflow and fill all my needs, because my cup is going to overflow. God doesn't give us half a cup. It's the glass half full, half empty. It doesn't matter, because with the Lord, the cup overflows. So I want to leave you with 3 verses just so that you know how you are being thought of by the one whose opinion matters the most. Psalm 139, verse 13. You formed me in my inward parts, and you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Do you feel like repeating that with me? I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Here's a verse from Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 17. He will rejoice over you with gladness, and he will quiet you by his love, and he will exalt over you with loud singing. The Lord is so in love with us, so enamored by us his creation, even in our fractured and fallen moments, that he rejoices over us and sings over us with loud singing. And one more verse. I hope this is helping you. 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. See what kind of love the Father has given to us, that we should be called children of God. And so we are. So if I wrapped it up in one or two sentences, I would say that self-esteem, we all have this need of validation that comes from outside of ourselves, and it shapes how we see ourselves. And some people are a healthy source, and I would say, by the way, it's a good thing to verbally encourage people, to tell them they're doing a great job, sometimes even when they're not, to tell them that they're valuable, because that is us building into other people's lives. But when we have healthy or unhealthy sources of validation, there is one source that should matter, the one whose opinion of us matters the most, and that is our Good Shepherd. So, bless you today. Cheers, my friends. Enjoy your cup of faith, and have a great day tomorrow.